Hello, for the third week in Lent, using the first reading from Exodus and the Gospel John. When I started this, I thought of, let's talk about anger. Was it good that Jesus really got angry? And what about when I get angry? But I got sidetracked into the development of the temple and the development of our church, and how the Jews developed in the presence and how we act in the present church, in particular the places or the buildings. Well, the Jewish people, say 2,000 years before Christ, a long time of great development, they had two sort of very important institutions. One is the law, or the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, and how they were to not only have them listed, but obey them, and the temple, how that developed over the 2,000-year period. Well, it sort of goes like this. From the earliest days of the Jews, they would celebrate the presence of God in their midst in the tent of meeting when they came together and offered sacrifices and prayers. But they started out in a tent in the desert. And this continued to develop and become more concretized into a temple or a building. And in fact, at the time of the gospel, Jesus goes into the third building, or the third temple. And that temple was gorgeous, not like the tent, the wind-blown tent in the desert. A historian, a Jewish historian, sort of describes this, and it goes something like this. You know what a cubit is? From your elbow to the tip of your finger. It's all 18 inches. And he says this, Flavius Joseph. The temple ascended by 12 steps. Its first gate was 70 cubits high, about 103 feet, 25 cubits broad, about 37 feet. And the outward face of the temple was covered with plates of gold of great weight, and at sunrise it reflected a fiery splendor and made those who looked upon it to shield their eyes. It was a gorgeous building. It was a gorgeous temple. And that's where the Jewish people came to celebrate the Decalogue and the presence of God in their midst. But when Jesus came upon that scene that particular morning, he lost it, didn't he? He was upset about what was transpiring in that temple. Well, they were selling animals, they were exchanging money, and they were sort of doing everything except celebrating the presence of God, more in the preparation and the happenings than the prayer and the presence of God in their midst. And as you know, and we just read, he really lost it. Well, the particular article that I was reading talked about, well, that's not too far from a cry from our present-day churches sometimes. You know, you go to your church, and in the back and the front of the church. Well, the front of the church we're going to call the altar, the podium, the presidential chair, where the choir is, the servers are, where the book is, and all of this, it's all in proper perspective and nicely arranged. But sometimes you go into the back of church, or the hall back there, and there's all kinds of things going on. A lot before, some even drawing, and a lot afterwards. I mean, like, you go back there and you see selling the chances on quilts or money, flowers, donate for the flowers for Easter, sell the flowers for spring, sign-ups, lumber, we're Habitat for Humanity building, pamphlets, donuts, coffee, loud voices, before, during, and after. And you wonder, what is going on here? I find it interesting, at Fox Christie, I built a wall, or doors, that would open and close to keep the sound out. And the open and closing the door didn't work out very well because the doors weren't very well built. And now we're trying to open and close the doors for the sound barrier, because it certainly comes in loud and clear. Well, I wonder what Jesus would think, or what Jesus would do if he came into this church on some Sunday morning, Saturday nights. I wonder what Jesus would do or think when he went into our cathedral some Saturday nights or Sunday mornings. Do you think he'd be pleased? Do you think he'd get angry? Do you think he would blow up? I don't know. I think it's an interesting thought. This building that we go into started in tents with the Jewish people, started in the homes with the early Christian people, has developed sometimes into rules and regulations more so than the Ten Commandments, and is what and how it looks and what takes place there. I think Jesus might just lose it periodically and scream out, "You have made my Father's house a den of iniquity, or a business, and not a prayer house." What do you think? I think we can take to heart Jesus' reaction to what goes on some days, sometimes. What do you think? Have a good day.